Welcome back to Fishbone Forensics, where we break down warehouse chaos one root cause at a time. In Season 2 of Fishbone Forensics, we're tackling one of the most pressing, space-eating, budget-draining issues in distribution. And that's running out of storage capacity. And we're not just talking about an overflowing aisle or a full staging area. We're talking about the bigger picture. When your cube is maxed, your pick fronts are jammed, and every new inbound pallet feels like a game of warehouse Tetris. Last episode, we unpacked the people-driven behaviors that quietly eat away at your available space. Things like overstocked slow movers, sloppy put away, and no one owning the slotting logic. But this week, we're shifting focus from behavior to infrastructure. Because sometimes the problem isn't what you're storing, it's how your warehouse is physically set up to store it. If your racking doesn't fit your inventory, if your vertical space is collecting dust, if your reserve storage feels like wasted opportunity, you're not out of space, you're just not using it right. So today we're going to dig into 3 equipment-related issues that quietly reduce your usable capacity and show you how to reclaim that space without breaking ground on a new building. This is Fishbone Forensics. Let's get into it. Let's start with a common but costly oversight. Your location sizes don't match your product dimensions. What does that look like? Well, 36-inch tall pallets stored in 60-inch high locations, partial pallets sitting in full-size reserve slots, and tiny slow-moving items hogging full pallet pick fronts. This isn't just wasteful, it's operational laziness baked into your racking. You wouldn't rent a shipping container to move a shoebox. So why design slotting that gives every SKU the same square footage? The fix? The first thing to do would be to audit your SKU profiles, your height, your width, your cube, and your incoming pallet heights, and try to match them to slot types with precision. And if your current slotting method doesn't track dimensional fit or evaluate opportunities to match vendor pallet height to available slot sizes, that's a gap you can't afford to ignore. A more advanced system can help you evaluate this, not just maximizing available space utilization by trying to match your vendor pallet height with your warehouse pallet height, but also saving you costly forklift labor at the same time. Space isn't just volume, it's alignment. Next, it's time to address one of the most overlooked sources of wasted space, and that's slow-moving SKUs that sit for weeks, sometimes months, depending on the product, eating up full pallet locations they don't deserve. If you're using the same racking for high velocity and dead stock items, you're not managing space, you're handing it out like candy. And here's the thing. Every time you give a slow mover a full or even half pallet slot, you're locking up premium real estate that could serve faster, more profitable SKUs. This isn't just about throwing more steel at the problem, it's about right-sizing your storage strategy. Think hand stack locations for slowest items. Think case flows for mid-movers. Think condensed vertical bays when you store more in less. These aren't nice to haves. They're how efficient operations keep slow movers in line without letting them sprawl across the floor plan. So here's how to fix this. Start by identifying low turn SKUs and analyze, do they need full pallet locations or can they live in smaller, more dense slot types? A common way to do this is to set a replenishment letdown threshold. Typically, if you can fit 2 to 3 weeks of supply in a hand stack location, you've got a good candidate. And if you have space, faster moving items should be moved to either case flow or given a pallet position to avoid excess case touches. Now, the other thing you can do, especially if you have an advanced system that allows you to recognize this, is to consistently look at slot locations that are housing items that aren't moving at all or haven't had an order come in the last 4 weeks. Depending on what products you're managing, you're going to sometimes notice that products have inventory but aren't getting shipped out. And in those cases, those products should be either moved to small locations or moved out entirely. And sometimes it just might be a system thing where it's still listed in the system, but it's not physically in the location. So sometimes it's just a data issue. But this is really where layout meets logic, because when you're running out of space, the slow movers should be the first ones on a tighter lease. Finally, the ceiling. Most warehouses are built with vertical space in mind, But whether due to equipment limitations, lighting, piping, safety concerns, or poor reserve slot evaluation, many operations leave 10 to 20% or sometimes more of their clear stacking height unused. That's space you're paying for but not using. The fix to consider here is to evaluate your racking specs against your building's true clear height. Work with engineers or storage vendors to safely redesign top-level storage or even mezzanines if you have them. And make sure your forklifts, reach trucks, and training support the new height strategy. Because your buildings can't work harder if you're only using the bottom 2/3. So let's recap. When your warehouse feels full, the instinct is to look outward. More racking, more square footage, maybe even a new site. But sometimes the answer isn't expansion. It's optimization. You might not need a bigger warehouse. You might just need smarter equipment decisions. Today we covered 3 equipment-driven space killers that quietly eat up capacity without adding any value. The first was slot sizes that don't match your actual pallet profiles, wasting cubic feet, one overbuilt location at a time. The next was a lack of high-density storage systems, forcing low movers into premium slots instead of compressing them with smarter alternatives. And last, we looked at wasted vertical space, clear height that's paid for, lit, and sometimes climate-controlled but not being used. So if your team is saying, we're out of space, but your inventory data doesn't support it, don't look at your aisles, look at your infrastructure. Because most warehouses don't max out capacity, they just mismanage it. Next week, we're diving into process and how broken flows, bad layout logic, and outdated slotting rules quietly erode usable capacity. Until then, be sure to follow Syncontext on LinkedIn and here on YouTube for weekly breakdowns and optimization tips. And if you're serious about reclaiming space, reducing damage, and building a smarter slotting strategy that actually delivers ROI, be sure to visit skistream.com and see how a warehouse optimization system can help your operation work smarter, not just harder. This is Fishbone Forensics, powered by Syncontext. From chaos to clarity, one root cause at a time. I'll see you next Friday.